emotions are evident.
I'm trying not to cry. And seeing Paul
You're failing
Lesko,
miserably.
I know the tears are coming down. It's just been so many opportunities, whether it's the way that my knee situation happened where we had a team that could go to the Final Four, but this is a long time coming. Matt Painter is one of the elite coaches in college basketball, and he deserves this, man. He recruits, he works hard. Man, I'm going to cry right now. I cannot believe that this has finally happened.
Yeah.
It's not just about this Purdue team. It's about guys who played at Purdue. You,
no doubt.
Robbie, everybody over the last 44 years that's tried to get to this moment, and you've finally been able to break through.
Yeah, I don't know if I deserve this, but I know he does. And when you start a program and your facilities aren't very good and you get guys to come to you and commit to you, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have lasted 5-6 years. And to be able to get to this and what he had to go through with his injury, and it was tough, but I know this, there's not a great coach out there without great players. And E'Twaun Moore and Robbie Hummel and Juwan Johnson chose me and chose Purdue, and we hadn't done shit. And I'll never forget that.
And Coach, congrats. I know I don't need to say this, but we are so proud that you're our coach, man. You are the best.
Thank you. Thank you. It means everything. Thank you.
For the first time in 44 years, the Final Four includes Purdue.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no. How cool was that, man? I'm just saying, right?
That was pretty fun. That was a lot of fun.
It's for everybody.
Yeah, it was.
And what I think was really great was when Matt Painter was talking and saying, man, we ain't done nothing, and we bring E'Twaun Moore, Robbie Hummel, Juwan Johnson, and they come and they believe in us and they stay and they put us on the map. And I think the whole culmination of it, the work ethic, all of it is so cool. And what's the most cool to me,
Can't forget Chris Kramer either.
Yeah, from Huntington North, man. From Huntington North. I got a thing on my desk here that we were like 15-0, and we played at Huntington North when I was at Anderson, and Chris Kramer was a senior, and I had made a comment to the press that Chris Kramer is the one Division I player that deserves to be a Division I player. And he went on and he was just a tough ass player. And the thing that makes the whole thing so cool is that I know Matt Painter personally, and Matt Painter has done some things for me. And I think Matt Painter is just an outstanding, humble coach. Now top that, Pat.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we were my South Bend Adams team in 2007 was part of the Michigan City Regional with East Chicago that had E'Twaun Moore. We played them in the afternoon, and they beat us by 6 or 7. And we actually fouled E'Twaun Moore out. Smooch fouled out, and they got nervous. We had it down to 3 with about 45 seconds left and just couldn't make it work. But the other game was Penn and Valpo with Robbie Hummel. So the attraction all week was the big
And Scott Martin.
And Scott Martin. That's exactly right. So the big allure was the Valpo East Chicago night game, and with Penn and Adams in the way of everybody, you had E'Twaun Moore from East Chicago, and you had Robbie Hummel and Scott Martin from Valpo in that night game, and East Chicago ended up winning, and eventually became the state champs that year. So that's my connection to the Purdue. And 4 years later, we're at East Chicago with my Adams team.
Is that the one where you wanted pictures of Pete Trigovich when you were shaking hands at the regional? Get pictures, man. Get pictures.
Yeah, exactly. At the regional. Exactly. Yeah. And then 4 years later, we are playing at East Chicago in a regular season game, and they're retiring E'Twaun Moore's jersey. And the entire Purdue team was up there for that. Now, how they got there, I don't know. but it was just amazing. And Scott can help me with some of the names of the players, but you had the entire Purdue team, Robbie Hummel. What was the kid's name from Franklin Central?
Well, we just said it, Juwan Johnson.
Exactly. And those guys. Okay, don't save the commercial.
I just said
the commercial.
I literally just said that, Juwan Johnson.
All right,
Magic Mind.
Now remember, I'm in Mexico. I got my own magic mind right here.
Listen to me. If Pablo Escobar walks by, I'm off of this. I'm off of this Zoom. I'm off of this. But so how cool was it to see Gene Katie there? And
what a great event. Yeah.
Yeah, and to see them give him a T-shirt and a hat.
Did you see Zach Edey? Well, Zach Edey cut off half of the net and then gave a piece to Katie.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about that is Zach Edey didn't even use the ladder, man. He just stood there and cut it off, man. I thought that was really cool. But when I saw Gene Katie there, and obviously, man, time flies, man. We were all young. Gene Katie was at Purdue. Gene Katie loved Anderson. He recruited Troy Lewis, and he had a great affinity for the city of Anderson. And used to come to all the golf outings, and he was great. But one particular situation, and I had a great relationship with him. One particular situation was,
John.
Hey Johnny, be good. We are playing in a shootout at Purdue, and we're playing. It's my Anderson team, and we ain't very good because all the players couldn't make it. You know how those shootouts are, Pat. You sign up for them,
sure.
Yeah, you sign up for them, and you got players. I can't make it, coach. I'm going to Florida. Forget you, man. You ain't playing when the season comes. And then when the season comes, you can't kick them off because it was summertime, so they're playing. But so I take a bad team, and we're playing an AAU All-Star team from Chicago, and we're getting smoked. And the refs are terrible. They're freaking terrible. And Gene Katie is sitting because he's recruiting some of those Chicago AAU kids. He's sitting in the corner. And as I'm going crazy, the ref teased me once, he teased me twice. And I said, hey, make it Lionel Richie. Give me 3 times a lady. And he teased me 3 times. I get tossed, right? I get tossed as I'm walking out of the gym towards Gene Katie in the corner. I turn to Joe Nadline and I holler, bring him home, shooter. Gene Katie. Gene Katie he fell out of the chair laughing.
That's
fell out of the chair laughing, man. And I used to think he was so freaking cool, man.
That's what summertime was all about.
Yeah, so I don't know. And so you've been through this. And I mean, it didn't last long, but they tried to fire me at Anderson, and I'd been there 10 years, and maybe I did some things that weren't quite right, but they went about it all wrong. So I got to go through the process of appealing it, and I called Coach. I said, Coach, can you call these couple people for me? He says, Ronnie, he says, I stayed at IU 10 years too long. He said, he said, if they don't appreciate you, get the hell out of there. And I said, okay, Coach. Then I called Gene Katie. And I said, Coach, man, you know a lot of these people in Anderson. Can you make a call for me? Gene Katie said, heck, he said, fight them sons of bitches so hard. He said, fight them, don't leave, fight them. And he was so freaking cool, man. So I'm so happy for Purdue.
That's great. And history-wise, Knight had more of a relationship with Phil Buck over at Madison Heights. That's where he was getting his players. If you think about it, he got Wilkerson, he got Winston Morgan, he got Stu Robinson there in late 70s, early 80s. So Knight's relationship was.
He got Ray Tolbert.
Ray Tolbert. I forgot.
He got Bobby. Yeah, Bobby.
I forgot about Ray Lee. So those guys. Wilkerson and I are. Wilkerson's 2 years older than I am. And Ray Lee's 3 years younger than I am. So, and then I know Stu and I know Winston Morgan. So, I know all those guys. But what I'm saying is Knight's relationship with Madison Heights was better than it was with Estes or Held.
Hey, you also know Larry Bird because you guarded him when you played at Butler, too. Come on, man.
Stop it.
I know Larry Bird. Hey Harry, I ain't guarding you, man. I'm guarding the blonde-headed guy.
Stop it. As you people at home can see, we are not at Bar Louie tonight, and Heck hadn't had a chance to do all his commercials yet. But I am in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and I'm over in the corner someplace here. I decided to come down here in the lobby. I mean, I could sit there and show you where I am.
Hey, stop! I do not want to see Pablo Escobar walk by.
No. I'm in the
Johnny,
welcome area.
Hey, Johnny, be good. I think he's into the Tito's already. I think he's put down a couple of fingers of Tito's.
Oh, I think he's been doing that since the day he got down there.
I know. Good for you, man.
Look how big the bottles of water are. It's like don't drink the water. Don't drink the water.
Hold it up to your face for real perspective.
Yes, because
I mean, look, it's like a 40-ouncer.
Hey, we all have props. Now hold the bottle of Tito's up for me, will you?
I brought this.
There you go. There you go, man.
I can neither. What's the comment? I can neither agree or deny or.
The Netherlands?
Neither. No. Hey, I don't have a drinking problem. I like to drink. Come on, man.
9:30 was early this morning, guys. Come on now.
Hey, let me hit a couple of our guys here quick, and then we'll get rolling. Johnny, I want to hear your take on the championship games this past weekend and stuff. So Han Funeral Home, the loss of a loved one can leave you with lots of unanswered questions and stress. And Han Funeral Homes of Mish, they are there to help you. Their focus has always been on the families that they serve. They stand ready to meet your needs and exceed your expectations. Get a hold of Pat Hahn at Hahn Funeral Homes, located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mish, 574-255-1474. And there you see the great advertisement put up by the great producer, Scott King. Tony Letcher, man. Tony Letcher, Health Markets Insurance. Whether you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, it's time you get the right coverage for the right price. Call Tony today at 574-307-8882 or visit his website at tletcher.com. The Black Sedan Band. Now, since we've kind of used our new intro with me and Pat saying some crazy stuff, we haven't really had a lot of their music rolling, but hopefully we'll get some of their music rolling tonight. They're an exciting band. They play a lot of great stuff. That's my brother, the third from the left. He's a great drummer. He's great. There's their information there. So the Black Sedan Band, Fricks has been really, really good to us. We have some realtors that have been good to us. Dr. Korich has been great. We also have the Magic Mind. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, Magic Mind. Say goodbye to feeling amped up and hello to feeling dialed in. Reduce stress. Steady, calm energy, focus and clarity, benefits build daily. And guess what? I've been taking it, and the things that are happening to me are unbelievable, and I see them on a daily basis. Just down one of these, magicmind.com. Use the discount code Coach's Corner 20 for 20% off, and just knock this down. And within about 20 minutes, you just start to feel this clarity come over you. And I'm giving you the 1964 starting lineup for the Bears, John. 1964 starting lineup for the Bears, John.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling you.
That must really work.
Well, and I'm telling you this. Javier Baez ain't got a hit. Now, how would I remember that? How would I know that? Unless I got clarity.
You wouldn't.
I mean,
and the Astros don't have a win.
Yeah, the Astros don't have a win, and the Texas Rangers can flat out hit. And
John, don't patronize him, John.
But they have no bullpen.
Hey, did the Tigers sweep the White Sox?
He sure did.
Oh, I love them Tigers, man. I love them, man. So
I
anyway,
don't think the White Sox have a major league team. I think it's just I think it's the Charlotte team that's masquerading as the Southsiders.
Well, they just brought back Mike Clevenger today, so look out. They signed Mike Clevenger again to give him some innings.
Do you remember that video I had last year of I think it was Waddle and it was either Waddle and Sylvie or one of the other Chicago radio stations that a guy called in and went on this like 10-minute rant about Jerry Reinsdorf being absolutely incompetent, and his thing he yelled about the most was bringing in Mike Clevenger. He's like, he's a horrible pitcher and an even worse person.
Yeah, but he was 9-9 last year and had a good year. Didn't beat anybody up. Did not assault any girls last year, and went 9-9. I thought you were going to talk about 1969 disco demolition. Demolition. What am I trying to say? Disco demolition. When they had all of the disco songs out, people were throwing 45 records on the field.
Yeah.
Disco demolition, man.
Yeah.
All right, hey Johnny, it's enough of me making an absolute fool out of myself, man. You would think I'm the one that's in Mexico. Pat's so calm and just sitting back, cheeks are red, got a little sun, man. Talk about high school basketball this past weekend in the state, and start at the single A with Fort Wayne Canterbury winning that championship.
What a great weekend of basketball. 4 really good games. As you said, Canterbury beating Bethesda Christian to win the state title, and 48-41 back and forth they went. It was close. Third quarter, nobody could throw it in the ocean, if you would, and then Canterbury outscores Bethesda Christian 13-8 to win 48-41. What a great game that was. A lot of competitiveness, and everybody thought that was going to be Bethesda Christian's game to win, just going away. But Canterbury came in and played some very tight defense and didn't turn the ball over that much and got out of there with a win.
Yeah, and really, so I saw Fort Wayne Canterbury play Liberty Christian in the semi-state championship game. Fort Wayne Canterbury had a post player with about 6'8", and when you're playing a post player 6'8" at the single A level, I think that's a great advantage for you. And so, congratulations! I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that might be the first state championship for Canterbury.
It was the first state championship for Canterbury. Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Was there a good crowd there, John?
It wasn't bad, but obviously being a holiday weekend, it was probably a little down than what you would normally have because they had to move everything back a week because of the NCAA tournament. But it was a decent crowd for a holiday weekend. All 4 games had a decent crowd. I will tell you, the 3A probably had the best of the 4 crowds.
Yeah, so that's the thing that kind of concerned me, and Pat and I talked about it last week, was the momentum from the semi-state weekend of those semi-state championships, the momentum of then having to take a week off. And what do you do with your team for 2 weeks? The momentum of the cities, of painting the windows in the town and all of that stuff, and having to stretch that out for 2 weeks. It doesn't surprise me that there would be a little letdown probably in the attendance.
Yeah, it was a little bit let down. It wasn't too bad, but I think the momentum kind of took some of the interest away. And when we had talked to Eric Gaff at the St. Joe practice last week, he kind of said the same thing. They had to be really creative in practice. That first week got them a little bit of rest at the beginning of the week after going through that gauntlet of Peru and Delta in the semi-state. But after that, they had to find some creative ways to keep the kids both physically in shape and mentally sharp and getting ready for a game and keeping the kids' interest, because there was 2 weeks and that's just unprecedented. And I think that may have hurt a couple of the teams in the state finals last week.
Yeah, I don't disagree, Pat. What do you think?
Well, I was getting ready to ask you. We thought that Bethesda Christian was going to be the better team. I was really surprised that Canterbury won. And John, I don't know if you guys were there in time, but just some of the stuff that you've read and some of the stuff you heard people talking about, I think it was kind of a surprise that Canterbury won.
Yeah, I was talking. We got there for part of the 1A game, and we saw part of that. And I was talking to some people after that 1A game, and that was really a surprise. But you look at some of the stats in that game, Fort Wayne Canterbury in the paint outscored Bethesda Christian 22-20, and they out-rebounded them as well, which was really kind of a surprise. And I think that was kind of a big difference there. is that they out-rebounded Bethesda, and I think that really took Bethesda out of their game because they couldn't crash the glass and get a lot of second-chance points.
Well, and I was going to say, heck, one of the things I want to throw an idea at you. At the 1A level and the 2A level, think about this. How many of those teams are three-point shooting teams? And then once they get to the tournament, they get in these bigger gyms, like an Elkhart, like a Michigan City, like a Washington, like a, wherever it might be, Southport. They have trouble shooting in those big gyms.
And that's a great point because you look at the stats from Bethesda, a really good three-point shooting team, only 4 of 15 in the state championship game. That's what really hurt Bethesda.
Well, so I would buy that if the semi-states were still on college campuses. Like when I was in the semi-state at Anderson, we played at Butler. And the vastness of Butler, and although the Wigwam held 10,000, it was made up a little bit differently than Butler. And so when you talked about shooting there, but the first 3 rounds were held in the high school gyms, so we played when I was in Anderson. We played a couple of games in Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Just regular season games. I don't know why. They just invited us to play, and they would always have us come down. I don't know, maybe a Wednesday of that week and shoot. And I used to ask the kids, "Does it bother you shooting in here?" And to a kid, they say, "Are you kidding me, Coach? We love shooting in here, man. It doesn't bother us, man.
Well,
we like to play here all the time."
Well, and I guess you're exactly right, because in the Wigwam, it's like shooting in a park anyway. But you're talking, let's say we were at Logansport. Think about the backgrounds you've got at Logansport. You've got a wall at one end, you got 4 rows of bleachers at the other. Now look at the 2A game. I'm looking at the statistics for Wapahani. Wapahani was 5 of 28 from threes.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, that's a big red flag to me. Benner had 25. Comer had 13, Sheffer had 11, but Wapahani, Andrews has 21, but they're 5 of 28 from threes. That to me, there's a team right there that all of a sudden they got in this big arena, and it's like they're playing at Bain Park in South Bend. They're not used to playing outside. They're used to playing with a nice shooting background, and their reference points. People just don't understand. There's a huge difference just shooting free throws at a gym that has bleachers behind it compared to a wall behind it makes a huge difference. And you're going to see it at the free throws. You're going to see it obviously at the 3-point range. Look at Purdue last night. The first couple shots some of those guys had from threes, they didn't hit anything. They were wide left, wide right. One of them hit the backboard. It was crazy. Just some of the things that you see even from at the college ranks. So those are some of the things at the 1A and 2A level. I really think 3-point shooting is a big key when you get to tourney time. And if you have an inside game, I think that's a definite plus for you.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question because if you can get easier baskets inside, then obviously that's a big plus for you. But talk about that story of that Wapahani team where the week of it might be the regional championship game. There's a tornado that goes through town. It destroys a lot of things. The basketball team brings the community together, and they just go on a great run then, right, John?
Oh yeah, that was kind of the talk amongst us on press row was how they were able to overcome all that damage that went through that area. They still went to school. They still went and prepared, and it really galvanized the town. And I think that's what really got Wapahani to the state final game was the fact that they had something more important than basketball. It was about life and surviving the tornado and all the damage that went through their town. And it really even galvanized the community. It's one of those great Hoosier stories from the great movie Hoosiers that we had when that came out. It's almost like that. All the town went, and there was a good crowd of Wapahani people there on Saturday to watch the 2A game. Unfortunately, they came up short, but I think it's still a great story with the galvanization they had after the natural disaster that went through the community.
Yeah, I don't doubt that it was a great story. And I don't know if you know this, John, but my first head coaching job back in maybe 1981 to 1984, I was the head coach at Wapahani High School. So I spent 3 years there, and I know that community. I know what galvanizes that community. I know how much they love their athletics. Matt Luce, the head coach, played at Wapahani. His older brother, Joey Luce, who was the former head coach at Marion High School, the former head coach at Richmond High School, the former head coach at Jeffersonville, and now is the head coach at Tippy Valley. They were all Wapahani guys, and one of the great stories of Wapahani was when I was there. Probably 6 or 7 of those kids that went through the program all became head coaches in the state of Indiana, and it's a town that just loves athletics, and those kids love to play. They have a great baseball program. Brian Dudley has built a great state champion type baseball program there. All right, now, so what about the Indians of St. Joe?
Great game. I mean, great game. Scottsburg ends up running away with it at the end. They only played 6 kids. St. Joe went with 7 kids the entire night. A lot of minutes played. St. Joe fell behind a little bit early, came back, had a 1-point lead at the end of the third quarter. And again, we go back to 3-point shooting, and this goes back to Pat's comment earlier. St. Joe, 3-pointer, they were 7 of 21 from 3-point range. Scottsburg not much better, 5 of 18. But I think the big stat here in this game, and I think kind of ended up deciding this, points off of turnovers, St. Joe had none. Scottsburg had 23 points off of St. Joe turnovers.
Yeah, that's the game. I mean, you can't do that.
The game right there. Otherwise, that was an even game. The St. Joe came out to play. They played well. Jerry Barca played out of his mind. He's a guy that, scores about 7 a game, comes out and he scores 12 points, was hitting some threes. Knesny played great as well. But I think Jack Miller, who, Pat, I think you talked about this last week, is to watch out for Jack Miller, guy that averages 7.5 points a game, has a game-high 32 points for Scottsburg.
32 points. And some of the things that was interesting was they were talking about how he's a Division III player. Well, there's a reason he's a Division player. His dad's a coach at Hanover.
Yes.
So it's no secret he's going to Hanover. Unless somebody, unless he wants to go to IU or something. But I think, he's going to Hanover. So the big talk was, who is this kid? Well, and what I found interesting was, and with me being a couple, spending 3 years down there with Scott, he went to Madison for his freshman year. And then he transferred to Scottsburg during the summer before his sophomore year. His older sister still plays at Madison. And or younger sister, I beg your pardon. So, and his older brother played at Madison. So they have a Madison connection, and he's a Madison kid. They have 2 kids that are from Seymour that have moved over, between 8th and 9th grade. So they have a couple, we'll call them imports, but that's the luxury of open enrollment. But he had a great game the other day. I was listening to as much of it as I could, listening to your broadcast on Broadcast Sport the other night. And I tell you, how many fouls or how many minutes did Jace Lee play? Didn't he get 4 fouls in the first half?
Yeah, he did. He ended up only 23
total
minutes, and he got 4 fouls in the first half. Yeah, they were.
That's huge.
That really hurt St. Joe. Yeah.
Oh no, there's no secret there. If he stays out of foul trouble, that's an entirely different game. But that was been one of his bugaboos all season. Is can you keep Jace Lee out of foul trouble?
Yeah, so you're exactly right when you say it's the turnover game. The Scottsburg Warriors, the Scottsburg Warrior have 4 turnovers, and St. Joe has 16. Scottsburg has 8 steals, and St. Joe has 2. So when you give a good team already 12 more opportunities than you have, that's really tough. Question of the day, and I don't know if this went down a press row or not, but hell yeah, it should have. How did Scottsburg get to keep the Indian and the Warrior name?
We're still
How
all
did
over.
they?
That was a question that went down press row.
I knew it would
And
be.
we wondered why they're able to keep the Warrior name. You know, there's a lot of schools that still have Indian-based names, but there's a lot of schools that are changing because it's politically incorrect. But I guess they get to keep that, I guess, for right now. And here's an interesting sidebar story that we found out. Scottsburg had their pep band there, and they were on spring break last week. So a lot of their kids in the band were gone to Florida or wherever they were going to enjoy vacation. They had a lot of adult alumni in their band, including a judge, a lawyer, I think somebody who was an accountant. There's like 5 or 6 adults that were in their pep band that were alumni of the school that were helping the kids that were there playing in their pep band at the state finals. That was really cool.
Yeah, don't tell me that Bruce Springsteen is an alumni of Scottsburg.
No, Bruce Springsteen is not an alumni. We were looking for for somebody. We couldn't find anybody that good.
Actually, he's from Seymour, but
No. That's John Mellencamp. Hold on.
I beg your
Springsteen is
pardon.
from New Jersey.
Hold on.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
Magic
stop it.
freaking
Now,
mind.
before
John,
here,
you
wait a
miss
minute.
this every week,
Wait a
man.
minute. Let me take a drink.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Tito.
Hey, how about
Man,
the
I can
Idaho,
smell it from here, man. I can smell it here in Indiana.
the Idaho? Who did the Idaho band play for last week? Because Harvard or Yale's band. did
Yale's
not
band
make
couldn't
it.
go. Yeah.
So Idaho adopted them, and they've got Yale
Boise State.
T-shirts, and they went and played for them. So yeah, that happens. But you
Even
know
in
what?
even in trying to make a point of how good your memory is, you still got it wrong.
My 3 years in Madison, I will tell you, Scottsburg.
You're 3 years in rehab? Well, what are you talking about? 3 years in rehab?
For my 3 years down in Madison, I will tell you this. Scottsburg is very much a Plymouth type of town where everybody buys in. I would compare Scottsburg very much to a Plymouth for people that don't understand what I'm talking about.
All right. If you know Scottsburg so well, then let me ask you this question: what was the story with Dan Dockich? Blistering Scottsburg on his show, and what was that all about?
All right, so
that was
before
about
I got there,
the former coach got fired at Scottsburg, right?
10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was. Austin, which is right there, Austin and Scottsburg are close. Austin had a huge, I'll just call it a drug problem. And I don't know all
of
the
Scott
details.
County has a very big drug problem.
Yeah, it involves meth. And Scottsburg, Austin, cousins. All right. So I'm sure they had something to do with it. I really didn't know, and I don't want to know, but I would guess that would be the connection, that he got Scottsburg and Austin mixed up.
No, I don't know about that, man. But anyway,
you got
I'm
his
so
number.
happy.
Call him.
That's the best I got.
I'm so happy to hear that the St. Joe Engines. So John, that's my new nickname for them, Engines, like Studebaker Engines.
There's a lot of people that. Well, it was funny because the student section, when they were cheering Saturday night, were doing the Indian chop with a claw, like a claw paw. It's the husky chop is what they're calling it. Yeah, they're going to call it the husky chop. That's going to be implemented next school year.
Well, I thought they were doing "Who let the dogs out? Who
I suggested that.
Dogs out?
When I talked to Steve Anthony, I suggested that's what they need to do when the football team comes out of the tunnel for home football games. Play who let the dogs out. Yeah, I suggested it to him.
No, so Pat, when I played at St. Joe, Bob Donowald was the coach, right?
Right.
Coming out of the locker room, here was the chant. Donowald, open the door. Let those Indians on the floor. Donowald, open the door.
Yeah, I understand.
You think I was the guy in Mexico with Pablo Escobar? My bad, man. Go ahead. John, what about the 4A game?
I'm composed.
A great 4A game between Fishers and Ben Davis. Of course, Fishers wins the state title 65-56. A lot of the talk in that game was, why do we have two Indianapolis schools playing each other?
That's where all
the talent is.
That was kind of the talk along press rows. Here we got two Indianapolis schools, and believe it or not, that was probably the smallest crowd of the day when it came to fans. Two local schools playing each other, and there were not very many fans there for the 4A game.
Not surprised.
And there was talk about, well, you guys, Ben Davis South, Fishers is north. What's the, well, that's all the politics of the IHSA and their boundary line, which is Hamilton County.
But you know what, heck,
all the Fishers people are hanging out on their yachts on Geist.
Yeah. What? What'd you say, Pat?
I was going to say it's still the two best teams in the state.
Yeah, I don't think, and that should be a semi-state game. It should have been a semi-state game. There should be some representation from up in northern Indiana in that championship game. But here's the deal. Fisher's going to win it again. I mean, they have so many kids coming back. I think the only kid they lose is the big kid. They got Jason Gardner coming back. They got the Zachary kid. They're going to be sophomores. They got Hall coming back. I think the only kid they're losing is Keenan Gardner. Now, he's really good, by the way. He scores 19 points and 9 rebounds. But look for Fishers, again, to be strong as hell coming back next year.
Now, I saw that the Garner kid at 6'6", some of the behind-the-scenes stuff I read about him, he's a military kid. He's a military brat. He said his family was stationed in Germany just a couple of years ago. He's only been back in the country 18 months. And how they ended up at Fishers is anybody's guess. Who knows?
Oh, no. What a great place to live. I mean, I live in Fishers. And it's a great place to live.
Because it's not.
That's the place to
the
be
schools
right
are
now.
good, and there's a nice lake right next door.
Yeah, there's a couple.
How do kids end up in car?
Yeah, no, and Hamilton Southeastern is there. It's a great area of the state to live.
And you can you can have an Ingalls address and still go to HSE, I think, and Fishers too.
The Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie, Charles Ingalls.
Sure.
Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah,
what
sure.
The hell? This show is down to an all-time low, John. John, what kind of crowd was there? Did you say
Friedrich Engels, the co-author of the Communist Manifesto?
Stop. You got to know. Get your map out. Highway 67, Pendleton Pike coming into town.
Exactly.
What kind of crowd, John, for that 4A game?
Not very big. Not very big. It was probably the smallest of the bunch. 3A was really good. We were at press row there, and all the Scottsburg people were behind us, and they had that whole lower section filled, and then halfway around where the baselines are, where the baskets were. So Scottsburg, I think we made the comment about hope they turn the light out there in Scottsburg because there was a good crowd, but the 4A game was hardly anybody there for that 4A game between Fishers and Ben Davis. It was pretty sad for a 4A game.
Hey, listen, Pat, you got a Fricks road game of the week. We got the little car running across yet, or what do we got?
Sure, Scott, give me a road. Give me a car here. We'll talk about Fricks and driver's ed this week.
Love that car.
What
a great place for Fricks. If you want to learn how to drive, stop in at Fricks, right?
I say, obviously, I'm down here, so I'm not driving this week, but they are driving. They've got 3 or 4 people down there. If you're in town, get on the phone. I'm sure they're driving all day this week with no school. With spring
they were
break.
bad. I was out driving around today, and I saw a lot of cars with Fricks signs on them. So there's a lot of people out driving.
I'm sure they're right over there at Edison Road and Grape Road, right in that area. So there's a phone number at the bottom. My Fricks team with everybody on neutral sites. I'm going to go with, because of the upsets. My Fricks team, the road this week is North Carolina State. I mean, here's North Carolina State as an 11 seed, and they're in the Final Four. And, they're talking about all this history stuff about Purdue back to the 1980, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's been since Valvano back in the 83, 84 time period that NC State's been back in there. And you tell me how they got there. DJ Burns, 6'9", 275. What they're talking about. Like he even they had him on an interview. He worked hard to get his footwork with Elijah. He said the problem with Elijah's footwork, he said, I was stuck with a Zach Randolph body, and I just cracked up. I thought that was so funny, but that's what he's done. And if you think about it, NC
Zach
State's
Randolph
won
from Marion, Indiana.
I know it, but if you think about it, NC State's won 9 in a row. They are the hottest team going right now. They had to play 5 games in the ACC tournament. They won 2 last week and 2 more this week. So right now, get out of the way. Who's going to stop NC State right now? They are the hottest team going. So they're my next road team of the week.
Well, DJ Burns is really good at 6'9", 275. There's been some talk about some NFL people being involved with him as a left tackle, and they were really serious. I kind of laughed to myself. They were serious, but I was listening to one of the talking heads, and they were talking about how he's got great footwork and he would be great. But his partner came out and said, hey, like 4 or 5 times in the game, he doesn't run past half court because he doesn't want to extend all of his energy. So they don't know how that would translate into the NFL.
That's a good
but
point.
He's a beast, man. He gets that little floater game going. He's a beast.
He's got a really good spin drop step too.
Yeah, and here's another fact in the Duke game, for example. The team, as a team, they were 3 of 13 from 3. So here I go again. If you've got an inside man right now in the tournament, and I think this is going to be a great Final Four. You got DJ Burns on one side, you got Zach Edey on the other. They were 3 of 13. Now, DJ Horn had 20 for him. So that if your name's DJ for NC State, that's the way to go right now. But the big 2 for NC State, and they put it to Duke. That's 2 times in a row. They beat them in the conference final, and now they got them again 2 weeks later in the final 8. So
when you talk about Duke, Filipowski has got he can score. He scores 11 points in that game and fouls out early. So that certainly didn't help Duke. But now North Carolina State goes up against goes up against the Boilermakers, man. And I don't care what you want to say, and I don't care what people say. If you were to play the choo-choo train for Purdue, my comments would all be about the big fella, man. When you get to the big games and you got a guy, and we've said this, and you can, and there's no easy baskets. Trust me, there's not easy baskets. But when you're 7'4" and you got that little jump hook, or you got that big time crab move inside, where you can go back to your other foot and shoot that baby J off of that angle, off the glass. When you got a big that can go for 40, he's going for 40 in the Elite 8 game, 16 rebounds. That's pretty special, man.
It is.
What do you think, Johnny?
I have no comment.
Here's an interesting storyline for the people around college basketball, I think, that are so reliant on the guards and the perimeter. 3 of the 4 marquee players out of the 4 teams are all big men, between Donovan Clayton at UConn, Zach Edey, and DJ Burns at NC State. Alabama's going to have to shoot. They're going to have to make probably 20 to 22 3-pointers to beat UConn. They're going to have to get it into the hundreds to beat them, but just because UConn's so well rounded, I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But 3 of the best players of the 4 teams in the Final Four are big guys. So it's interesting that there's waves every year of how college basketball goes, and I don't know if necessarily this year is so big man dominated, but obviously Zach Edey being soon to be 2-time National Player of the Year, there's something to be said about it.
Well, and to me, what matters for Purdue is that the perimeter players are now a year older. I thought last year they were freshmen. They hit the college proverbial wall, and it doesn't matter what you think. High school players play, I don't know, maybe 26 games, and they don't. All of those games are not games that they got to sell out. When you get to the college level, when you're playing D1, you're playing 30-some games. You got to sell out, and you got to play every game, the physicality of it. And I think just the fact that Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer are a year older and now capable of making big-time shots and not being overwhelmed, not taking bad shots, but being able to be in control of the game. And now you still got the Player of the Year with you. I just love Purdue's chances.
Well,
What do you
and
think, John?
look at the benefit of having a fifth-year guy like Lance Jones to make that last three to really put it away. He's the one out there saying, "Give me the ball. I want to finish this." And I think Fletcher was really good down the stretch, and there were some matchups that Dalton Connect's not a very good defender, so they put one-on-one with Fletcher and Braden and try to put Connect on them, and they got pretty good drives to the basket. But at the end of the game, Fletcher wanted the ball to shoot those free throws, and he had the stones to go and knock them down. And I don't know if he's not as assertive last year to say, "Give me the ball, I want these free throws."
Well, I mean, he knows his role now. He knows his place, man. And he understands that he can shoot the basketball. It's not one of those deals where should I shoot it? Should I not shoot it? Coach Painter says shoot it, so I'm gonna shoot it. Now he's saying I want to shoot it. I'm shooting it. Give me a high fade screen. Give me something coming off of a ball screen and kick it to me. If I'm open, I have strength now. I'm not gassed going down the stretch. If the closeout's coming hard at me, I'll shot fake it and maybe rip drive it and pull up. Lawyer's been going to the basket a little bit more this year and finishing there. I mean, John, what's your take on Purdue, man?
I like Purdue. I just think that, there's so much attention given to Edey that, Lawyer and Smith, they have just really able to take over games when they, because you see them double and triple and Edey all the time, and it falls on the guards, and the guards have just done a great job. I know it's going to be a tough task against North Carolina State, but from what I have watched Purdue, I really think Purdue can win this whole thing this weekend. I'm just impressed with the overall play. And I think what's really cool about this too is so many guys that are on this Purdue team played high school in Indiana. Matt Painter does such a great job at recruiting Indiana kids. Yeah.
I think there's 12 guys on Purdue's roster that are from Indiana.
And Matt Painter does a great job recruiting Indiana kids and putting this team together. And I really like Purdue in this. I really do.
Yeah, I don't disagree with y'all. Does anybody know where our boy went?
I don't know. He just kind of disappeared.
Has he been drinking the water in Mexico and had to pay a visit, or what's the story, man?
Didn't we have this problem last year with the food poisoning thing?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to get our boy back. We just got a blank screen, man. But hey, if you're in Mexico, you gotta do what they do in Mexico, right? I'm just saying. So what about that other game now? Alabama, UConn. And I think you hit it right on the button. And one of my great friends is an Alabama fan, and he hit it right on the button. And he told me this 10 days ago. He said, if Alabama shoots the basketball and they make, he said, they're as dangerous a team as there is in the country, but they gotta be making shots. And you can say that about any basketball team, though. You can say, hey, if you're making shots, then you got a shot at winning. But I think that is truly the mantra of the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I don't know if there's anything to Nate Oates getting that contract extension. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. But man, the Crimson Tide are playing really, really well.
Well, they are, and I agree with Scott. I think they're going to have to really, really hit a lot of threes. That's going to put a lot.
They're going to shoot 50 to 60 threes in that game.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to have to put that game in the 90s or 100s to have a chance, and then they're going to have to try to tighten up that defense a little bit. But I think, as you say, Heck, if they can shoot the basketball, they're tough to beat. And I think UConn's going to have to really put a lot of pressure on those Alabama guards and try to make them settle for twos instead of threes, because I think that's going to be an advantage for UConn, especially on the glass.
Let's wait till we get the big Pat King back in play here before we talk about UConn. But, I want to talk about another thing relative to college basketball and girls college basketball. Obviously, we have a great game on tonight with Iowa against LSU. That game is probably already tipped off, and there's probably a score you can already get. But Notre Dame got beat by South Carolina, and I thought this was very disturbing to me. Hannah Hidalgo, the really good freshman player for Notre Dame, she plays the whole tournament. She plays the whole season, really. And she has a nose ring in, right? She has a nose ring. And I guess I guess the rules in college basketball are you cannot play with any kind of piercings or anything like that. Well, so why in the first 2 rounds of the tournament did no officials affiliated with any of those games make her take the nose ring out there? But when they get into the semifinal game here in the Sweet 16 game against South Carolina, now all of a sudden she's got to come out. Yeah, you're coming out. You cannot play with a nose ring. It says right here in the rules, blah, 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 blah. It takes the trainers, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 minutes. She misses the game for them trying to get this nose ring out of her. What is that all about? Could someone explain that to me? Well, it's like, yeah, this is a rule, but we're not going to enforce it until you get in this game.
Until it's
convenient. We could have enforced it in game 1. We could have enforced it in game 2, but we're not. Can someone share anything on that with me?
I haven't paid enough attention to know. I mean, I think that's it seems like the women's tournament kind of has some stuff they need to figure out between that with their very selective enforcement of the rules. And did you see the whole thing with the 3-point lines being off measurement from one side of the court to the other?
Yeah, I saw that.
That's astounding to me.
Yeah, there was one game too where they didn't find out till halftime, but one of the first round games that one of the officials that was officiating the game was an alumni of the school that was playing, and they ended up pulling him off the floor, but it took them till halftime to figure that out.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of really weird stuff going on in the women's side of the tournament, and I think it's a shame too because you have so many good storylines just from the purely the basketball side of everything, and then it's being taken away from with all the other extracurricular nonsense between selective enforcement of the rules to off measurement 3-point lines to people that are refereeing games of the schools they went to. It really is a shame because I mean I hope I'm not watching it right now. I'm watching the Rangers right now, but I hope this Iowa LSU game is just purely a basketball game and they're not going on and on about stuff that has nothing to do with basketball.
Yeah, no. This Iowa LSU game should be a great game, and again, it's a Caitlin Clark show. Oh yeah! Whoa!
He's back.
He's back. What happened? Did your visa get retained or what? What happened? You okay?
Oh, we're getting the background noise again.
Yeah, I don't think you can hear us.
Switch your audio to your AirPods.
I'm just saying, man. I can't stop laughing, man.
I muted him.
I don't know.
Until he gets it figured out.
Hey, let me do a couple commercials here, okay? Tony Letcher, Health Markets Insurance. Whether you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, it's time you get the right coverage for the right price, man. Call Tony at 574-307-8882 or visit his website at tletcher.com. And Tony Letcher, 1995 graduate of John Adams High School. Matter of fact, I am fixing to go meet with him a little bit and get some info about Medicare, man, and see what I need to do. I am not fixing to go meet with the Hahn Funeral people because I'm still pretty healthy, I guess. Hahn Funeral Homes is located at 505 West A Street, downtown Michigan. You can call them anytime at 574-255-1474 or stop in to get answers from your questions at a really, really difficult time in your life. Pat Hahn is the absolute best, and any questions you have, he will simply answer them for you. The Black Sedan Band, man, I'm telling you, their music is kick ass. They have a great singer. He's awesome. They're just a great, great band. They play great music. There's their booking info. Donnie James Eklinski, 205-266-9058. Give them a buzz. They are great. And then again, come on, man. Come on. Magic Mind. I'm reading an article in an AARP magazine, and they're talking about using supplements to maybe make yourself sharper, get the fog out of your mind. And all of the supplements they're talking about, They're actually in Magic Mind, Lion's Mane, Maca, green tea. They're in Magic Mind. And I'm just saying, reduce your stress, steady, calm energy, focus and clarity, benefits build daily. MagicMind.com, Coach's Corner 20 for 20% off. We got you back, PK?
Trying. Hang on there.
Where'd you go? Did you play a hand of blackjack or something in the casino or what?
Oh, he texted me. He said he went to the bathroom. I don't know. This is our recurring segment of get a boomer to figure out his audio settings.
Oh man! All right, John, you got to help me on this one. We got a Wally Pip Pat King here, man.
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
He's talking to himself, man.
Filling in, co-hosting is me.
All right, so
he's still talking to himself.
I think he's been drinking all day, man. I'm just saying.
I think he is too. You can kind of look at the flush face, you know.
Pat, you there?
He was supposed to have. When I texted him Saturday, I told him to have a margarita, and he said he was going to have at least 3. So that's what he told me.
He didn't lie. He ain't lying, man. So I don't know. So who was the last team to win back-to-back NCAA championships?
Florida.
Yeah.
Is that our Magic Mind trivia question of the day?
No, I didn't really know that, but you're right. You're right. Noah, Al Horford, Billy Donovan. You're 100% right. That was a really, really good team. Really, really good team.
It wasn't fair because I beat Ohio State too.
I mean, can UConn go back to back?
Can they? Yes.
Will they?
Probably.
No, I don't think they will. I don't think there's too much pressure on them. And with the story that North Carolina brings to the table, plus what Purdue brings to the table, I don't think UConn can repeat. I really don't. I don't think they can. Again, I actually like a Purdue Alabama final. That's where I'd go.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's where I'm going.
And I would like that.
If Purdue wins the national championship, I will be absolutely insufferable.
So
everybody is going to hate me because I will be on cloud 9 forever.
Well, so maybe next week for our show, maybe you need to fly to Indiana and be with us at Bar Louie's just in case. Purdue's in it and they win it. All right, so I
watch games by myself in silence. I sit. This is my demeanor for the entirety of every basketball game I watch.
And Heck froze on us too.
It's a great. Oh man,
we got Heck frozen, and your dad can't talk to us.
Can you guys hear me? Am I on here at all?
I can hear you fine. It's just we can hear too much.
Oh, here's too much of that.
Everybody in the lobby.
I know. There's just a lot of people here.
Yeah, I hear you, Heck, now.
Let me go to my audio.
We're all back. It's just kind of a crap show. This is supposed to be a basketball show, but it's turning into the audio visual tutorial of the week.
It's been one of my favorite shows, to be honest with you. Me and Johnny B. Good are having a blast. Let's talk a little baseball, man. Let's talk a little baseball. Okay. So the Tigers open up with the hopeless White Sox, right?
Correct.
And the Tigers should have beat the White Sox 3-0, right?
No, they shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have?
Yeah, it should have been like 15-0.
Right. Yeah, the White Sox are hopeless this year. Just pack it up and forget it.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. Now, tell me what your thoughts are about the Tigers, because I've heard some prognosticators say that they think Detroit can win that division.
I do too. I think they got some solid pitching in the offseason, and they brought in a couple of youngsters who have provided some really good defense and can hit the baseball extremely well. I think the Tigers are going to be one of the favorites in that division. You can't count out the Guardians in Cleveland, of course. But I really think Detroit should be the favorite to win that to AL Central, and I really like the fact they got off to a great start. You know, I know it's the White Sox. I get that. But when you can get off to a great start, that just continues to build some momentum and some confidence. And I think you got to watch out for my Tigers this year. I think they're going to be kind of like the story of the Detroit Lions were winning the NFC North in football this past fall. Nobody gave them a lot of expectations. And here they were one game from playing in the Super Bowl. And now the Tigers are off to a 3-0 start. So I think the Tigers are going to be the story in Detroit this spring.
Worst contract in Major League Baseball. And I'm asking you, John, and you know why I'm saying that. Worst contract in Major League Baseball. Come on, John. Javi Baez. Baez.
I would agree. Javi Baez. Yep. Worst contract. Yep. I agree.
I mean, like 6 years, $30 million.
Something like that.
Yeah. And he's hitting 100. He's still swinging at sliders out of the zone in the dirt. It's not even close, man.
You and I could hit 130. Come on.
Well, I don't know if I could because my dad used to tell me I got hit in the head in little league, and my dad said, "Close your eyes, swing as hard as you can, just in case you hit it." But so no, and obviously he can still play defense from the shortstop position.
Right. Yep.
But he has never learned to. To lay off of that outside slider. Now, Scott, second worst contract in Major League Baseball history. I mean, not history, but today. The second worst contract.
Max Scherzer with the Mets?
Nope. And I just watched him today. And the reason I say that, I just watched him today. So who would I have watched today? Chris Bryant of the Rockies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love Chris Bryant. He got hurt. He signed a 7-year, like a $200 and some $1 million contract with the Rockies. It's his third year. He hadn't played that much. He's hitting 100 this year. At least he's healthy. The second, probably worst contract now in real time now. But did Jed Hoyer know what he was doing when he got rid of those guys as they were aging a little bit? And, I mean, when you pay at the major league level, do you pay for what you did in the past, or are you paying for what are you going to do for me in the future? Because obviously Jed Hoyer and some of the Cubs knew that Javi Baez was never going to change. Obviously, they knew that maybe Chris Bryant, his injury past or whatever, was never going to be able to validate that kind of a contract. And so I think if anybody says, I want to be a general manager, I think that's the thing that you always got to be aware of. Are you paying for past success, or are you paying for future success? And are the last 3 years of that contract going to be null and void because they can't fulfill it anymore, a la Jason Hayward, right? I mean,
think
that's
the
what you
worst
look
contract in the last. Yeah, and I think the worst contract that I can remember honestly was Albert Pujols with the Angels, because he hit okay, but I mean the Angels have been irrelevant forever. There's a running joke online about when the World Baseball Classic was going on last year, and you had going up against Mike Trout, and everybody online was like, "Man, these two guys are great. Could you imagine if they were on the same team together?" You're like, oh, yeah, they were, and they still sucked.
Well, no, the problem was I don't think they sucked, but they didn't have – they spent so much money on those two guys. And then you got to remember they signed Rendon to play third base, gave him about
– and he hates playing baseball.
$180 million contract. And then they didn't have enough money to get any pitchers, but they had two great hitters. The contract that Albert –
he froze again.
They're dropping like flies, Scott.
I know.
The last 3 years of that contract, he was non-existent. Now he had a renaissance year with the St. Louis Cardinals, and good for him, man. He went out hitting 24, 25 homers. The fans in St. Louis cheered him every day. Good for him, because I always felt that Albert Pujols was a really good guy. Right, John?
Here's a fun thing I've been meaning to try to get you on. Can you name the top 10 all-time home run hitters? Not in order.
John, let's see if we can do this, John.
Okay. All right.
The top 10 home run hitters, obviously Barry Bonds, right? Obviously Willie Mays, 2. Obviously, huh?
He's not 2.
Well, no. I'm just saying a total of 2. He's not in second place. I know that much. But he's in the top 10, right?
I thought you were saying number 2.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Mark McGwire.
Mark McGwire, top 10.
No. Okay.
He is 11th.
Oh, okay.
Well, Babe Ruth, obviously.
Yep.
Babe Ruth. Hank Aaron, Hank Aaron. That's 4 out of 10. Hank Aaron.
What about Sammy Sosa?
Is Sam well in there?
He has 9.
He's 9.
So there's 5 out of 10. Sammy Sosa. What about
you just talked about one of them.
Albert Pujols?
Yeah.
Albert Pujols. So there's 6. There's 6 out of 10.
Miguel Cabrera.
No, he's kind of down there. Where is he? Maggie.
He
is 25th.
Okay.
So we got 6 of them now. I'm pretty sure we're missing some old time guys.
You're missing one pretty new guy.
We're missing a Ken Griffey.
He's on there. Yep.
Ken. So there's 7.
One newer.
There's 7. Ken Griffey.
Bryce Harper.
Oh no, not Bryce Harper.
God,
no, he's got a lot to go. A newer guy, Bryce. A newer guy. I don't know. We got 7.
You got 7 out of the 10. So you're missing A-Rod. He's 5th.
A-Rod, yes. A-Rod, there's 8.
8. Cleveland Indians legend Jim Thome and
yes.
White Sox legend.
Okay, all right.
And the White Sox legend who? Hank,
Jim Thome. He's
Thome.
also a White
There's
Sox
9.
legend.
Yep.
I think Jim Thome hit his 500th. He may have hit his 500th and his 600th with the White Sox.
Yes.
10. I don't know if you were going to get this one. 10 is Frank Robinson.
I should have got that. Frank Robinson, man. I should have got that. Frank Robinson was a great player. Cincinnati Reds, man. I love Frank Robinson.
Not to make you feel bad, but I got all 10 in the car with wife.
Hey, right there, babe. I got 7 out of 10 right there. Magic freaking mind. Magic mind, man. I'm just saying. 7 out of 10. Do we got the All-Star back? Is the All-Star back?
That's not bad.
I'm up in my room.
Oh man, this has been a great show, Pat. All right, show's over. See you guys. Good seeing you, Pat.
See you later.
So I talk about your so I got a chance to watch the Rangers over the weekend because I watched the Cubs and Rangers. I like the Rangers, man. I like Wyatt Langford. I think he's going to be he's drawing comparisons right now to Mike Trout.
He's very good. He's got a lot of upside, and I think it's going to be really funny that the 2 guys in the running for the AL Rookie of the Year this year are on the same team, and one was on the World Series roster last year, but it didn't count against him. So Evan Carter this year is still rookie, even though he was an integral part in the World Series team.
Yeah, and so what happens? Wyatt Langford plays 44 games in the minor leagues, and they bring him up this year.
Played in Frisco for a little bit, right down the road from me.
Yeah, and so there's just not a lot of time where the opposing teams have found the holes in his swing yet, but they are so good. They're so good at finding the weaknesses in those swings, and then once that young player goes through the slump, the hard times, then it's up to that young player to make adjustments. And there have been so many times where there's been a flash in the pan. He's come up. He's been really, really good. But the other teams have found the holes in your swings, and they've never been able to adjust. I mean, guys like Bryce Harper, who came up and they were young phenoms, they've been able to adjust. And I mean, look at Kyle Schwarber, for example. I mean, Kyle Schwarber does one thing well. He doesn't hit for average. He's going to strike out, but he's going to hit 30. He's going to hit 30 to 40 bombs every year. And if he's at the Mendoza line at 200, he's lucky. If he's under 200, I've seen him years under 200 with 36 bombs. So it just depends. It just depends what kind of lineup construction you have. I saw the Cubs today. Watch the Cubs today. Shotei Imanango has 9 strikeouts, pitches 6 innings. Cubs beat the Rockies 5-0. I don't know about you, Pat, but it's like 35 degrees here, pouring down rain, cold. And I sat around and watched the Cubbies play. Had to get
what
some dental work done.
Crowd they had for their home opener. Did you see their little
no.
That they were trying to get as people ran out of the dugout?
Well, no, they had a sellout. It
was before the game then.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of it, so I don't know.
He froze again.
It was literally 40 minutes. It was literally 40 minutes before the game. By the time the game started, it was packed.
Okay.
It was packed.
But I have an idea for a guest once the basketball season's over that I think you guys could just sit here and talk about the Cubs for 45 minutes to an hour. You want to take any guesses?
Ron Santo died. Ernie Banks died. Joe Pepitone just passed away.
Who's the most famous Cub fan in basketball right now?
The most famous Cub fan in basketball? Who? Me.
Matt Painter.
Oh, Matt. So I don't know if you guys knew this. Matt Painter grew up and went to Delta High School. And when Matt was playing at Delta, I was coaching at Wapahani. And so we were playing against Matt, and Matt and my guys were really, really close. He's a down home guy, man. He's just a down home guy. He wanted to go to IU. IU didn't offer him, so he went to Purdue. But he is a great Cub fan. You're 100% right. So let's talk next week now. Next week, we're going to have the World Traveler.
I'll message Elliot. And get Matt on for the off season.
Well, yeah, and we need to get Terry when the off season is done. Also, we need to get Terry Johnson on, Anderson High School graduate, played at Anderson, who's an associate head coach at Purdue. Also, so do you have the results from the brackets, from our round 2 brackets?
Yeah, you want me to?
Can you put those up? I want to see those. Hey, John, did you get in on our second chance bracket?
I did, but I don't think I did very well. And by the way, in our broadcast sport bracket, I was first. Now I'm 4th. And guess who's in first?
Who?
Mr. Mexico himself. Yes, you're in first place, Pat. Yes, you're in first place in our broadcast sport bracket.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, no kid.
And you're in last place in our family bracket.
Yeah, I know the family bracket. I am dead last.
Pat King's in first.
What did I do to deserve
Ronnie
it?
Hex in second. Becky's in first.
I'm in last.
Virginia was in first place last time. She's tied for 4th place. Virginia from North Carolina, man. Chad Kirk's ladies. Yeah. Wow. I'm in second, huh, to Pat King. It's a good thing. It's a good thing Pat can work his computer when he's back in the States. That's great, man.
I'm at the mercy of Mexico internet right now.
Let me just say, this has been the funnest show I've ever done. Pat's been drinking the Mexican water and was off the show for 12 minutes. And then Pablo Escobar came.
I have no answer. Yeah, the cartel is out there.
Here's our other one for the
our
for the
Sweet
group.
16.
No, this is our full bracket from start to finish.
Is this the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you notice the bottom name is mine.
So where's Virginia's name? Because she was number 1.
She is 7th right now.
7th.
Oh, Virginia. What a wonderful lady. Her and my guy Chad Kirk are amazing. As a matter of fact, instead of going to Mexico, I'm going to take a trip to North Carolina, because in North Carolina you can drink the water. I think.
You think?
I think you can.
Not at Camp Lejeune. Have you not seen those commercials?
Oh
yeah, no, Camp Lejeune. If you drank the water, Camp Lejeune. All right, boys, listen. We're going to be back at Bar Louie's next week. And we're going to be talking national championship game.
And we will be there right before the game starts, actually. So the game will be an hour before we go off the air.
Yeah. So
it's like a 9:00 start. So we'll go off. We'll be finished by 8 or 8:15. We'll be all finished. We can sit there and sit back and watch the game.
All right, man. So listen, I'm. So let's make our picks. All right, let's make our picks. I'll start off. I mean, a lot of sentiment for me in this pick. I'm going with Purdue. I'm going with the Boilermakers. I just think you have to defend a game plan against Zach Edey. And when you do that, you weaken yourself in so many other areas on the defensive end that I'm going to go with Purdue.
Are we talking for the national national title or just this weekend or just the first round?
I'm talking about the national title, man. Purdue.
Well, I think you're looking at UConn. I think you're looking at UConn and Purdue, which is what really everybody thought was going to be all along. Houston, maybe, but they didn't get here. So you had three teams. You had Houston.
Jamal Shedd got hurt. They're the people's champ.
That's one thing we didn't talk about too. But yeah, Houston, their best player rolls his ankle in the first half.
So Duke should vacate that win.
Yeah,
just saying.
Okay. Yeah, Purdue, UConn. You went with Purdue.
That's exactly what I did, man. I went with Purdue. I thought I'd go with Manchester College. With that guy in the background with a Manchester College sweat jacket on.
Didn't make it this year.
They're not in this year, so I'm going with Purdue.
All right, so just to be contrary, I'll take UConn. How's that?
You go ahead, Johnny. Who you got?
In the national semifinals, I'm taking Alabama in the upset.
Ooh.
Purdue on the other side. Boilermakers win the national championship. None of those three teams can defend Zach Edey. No way. The Boilers are on a roll. Purdue wins the national championship.
And Johnny, be good. Which ex-Clay administrator is going to be the happiest dude in America if Purdue wins?
Greg Humnicky.
the Hummer.
Who, by the way, just got an award from the Basketball Hall of Fame. Got the President's Excellence Award this last week. So congratulations, my buddy Greg Humnicky, on that great award. He's got his garage all packed.
I saw that, man.
You can see that with the big Purdue on the garage now. But I'm taking the Boilers to win it all.
Yeah, I saw that. What do you got, Scotty?
Well, Q says Purdue beats UConn in a throwback big man game, which
thanks, Q.
I mean, I think Donovan Clingan and Zach Edey might kind of even each other out, so it would come down to the rest of the guys. I really don't have a pick at the moment because I don't know who's going to play who.
And you got a Purdue hat on. Keep talking.
Well, here's my thought of the first game, at least the NC State game. Everybody's talking about DJ Burns and how big he is, but if he's listed at 6'10", 280, I think people are neglecting the fact that he's still 6 inches shorter and 20 pounds lighter than Zach Edey. And I don't know if that's being ignored by people when they're talking about this game with how big he is, but I mean, there's a reason Zach Edey's going to be National Player of the Year again. So do I think Purdue will probably win? I mean, I think there's a reason why Vegas has them as 9-point favorites.
Make the pick.
I mean, if it's Purdue, Alabama, I'm going to say Purdue because we already beat them this year up in Toronto. If it's Purdue, UConn, I just think UConn has too many playmakers that have been in this position before because Donovan Clingan was on the team last year and so was Tristan Newton. And I mean, the rest of them weren't on the team last year, but I mean, that's 2 out of that group, and Purdue has 0 of that experience. Oh
yeah, I think UConn is great, man. And I just say that this is one for my heart, man, because everybody wanted to fire Paint last year. They get beat by Fairfield and blah blah blah. But hey,
I will say I never jumped off the Matt Painter train. I have always he is our coach, and I mean you heard Robbie on the interview after the game was over. I mean he was bawling his eyes out talking to Paint, and I know Paint was getting choked up too, because I mean, like he said in that moment with Rob, I mean, Paint doesn't have a career that he has. JJ, Etwan, Robbie, and Chris Kramer.
Yeah.
So I mean, my heart says Purdue, obviously, because I mean, Dad, you know this. You and Mom signed checks over to that university for 3.5 years. So, I mean, my heart says Purdue, obviously. So, I mean, screw it. Why not?
Yeah. So he ain't signing checks over to Purdue anymore. He's signing them over to a resort in Mexico now.
Yeah. That's definitely the check that I signed for him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, here, this is
thank you, John.
this comes as a request from Q. So here, give me 5 seconds to play the train, since I never
Give me
ran
the
it this time.
choo-choo. I gotta go, man. Beautiful. Thanks, Q.
Good way.
And Virginia says go Wolfpack because they live in North Carolina.
All right, hey, listen. We'll check you all out next week from Bar Louie's, man. Pat, you have a great week. Try to take care of yourself. Don't get too much sun. And enjoy time with your lovely wife. And don't drink the freaking water. Johnny, you're the best, man. I can't. It's good having you on. And Scott, you've done so much for us with this show, man. You're the best. So hey, until next week, guys. Till next week. And why would I not say this? What a great Easter, man. The Lord has risen. What a great Easter. See you guys next week. All right, man. Cool. Peace.
Your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll. Your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll.